to Anthony's Hobby Corner. I hope you're all keeping well. I was at a train show recently, the one in Mississauga, Ontario, I think organized by the Lakeshore West Model Railroad organization. It's a flea market there. And so I went there and I picked up a couple of odds and ends looking for small little items like couplers and parts for motors, etc. But ended up coming across a couple of really good deals that I couldn't pass up on. And so one of them's right here in front of us. It's a Krauss Maffei locomotive by Rivarossi. And so I had to grab it. Now it wasn't in running condition at the time, obviously, but these really are fairly simple to get going. I did put it on the test track before I decided to shoot this video, and I noticed that they had hooked up one of the wires incorrectly inside, and that's really what had happened. So the thing runs really sluggish, but it needs to be serviced and cleaned. As I open one of these, you'll probably see inside they've got a lot of brass gearing, etc., and they were built, really well at the time. I believe these were built in the late 70s, maybe early 80s, if at all. So they're solid machines, but they do require servicing as well. Now, a little bit of history, I believe, on these ones. These are German Krauss Maffei locomotives, and I believe this model is an ML 4000. This one actually has two Maybach engines inside, or prime movers inside, and I believe was able to generate approximately 4,000 horsepower. So, or maybe just shy of that. And as a result, they were sought after by some U.S. railways looking to see if they can eliminate double headers with a single locomotive. Of course, the entire venture failed. These were purchased by Rio Grande and Southern Pacific, I believe, thereafter. Not sure the sequence of them. And these locomotives didn't have the endurance requirements that were required to operate within those railways in those type of conditions. So they were a massive failure from that standpoint. But nevertheless, they're unique. And I feel I wanted to actually always have one of these, so here we are. I got this really cheap, so I gotta make sure I take a look inside and make sure everything's good to go. So let's go ahead and open her up and take a look. Actually, before we do that, I believe these came in the Rio Grande colors, which basically was the orange with the yellowish orange with the black stripe, the gray livery as well, and this is the bloody nose version of the Southern Pacific with the red front and the gray body. All right, so let's take this one apart. Okay, so the way to take this apart is you'll see a little tab here. That's part of the back of the attaches to the back of the shell. So this comes out last. So you really have to remove a screw from the top here, from the exhaust vent, and that will then dislodge the front of the locomotive, and then you can basically separate the shell from the base. So let's do that. Screws want to come out. There we go. There we go. It just separates out like that. It slides out. And there's the shell, and there's the weight. Now, I believe there were two versions of this, and someone can correct me if I'm wrong here, but the original version did not have this weight, and therefore these didn't have much hauling power, and there would be a lot of wheel spinning at the back here. But then I believe subsequently they put these weights on them here at the back, which then gave it a lot more traction on the track. And this is a unique design. It's a floating motor, that's basically directly coupled to through a worm gear into the middle axle here, and from there are multiple gears that then drive the rear axle. So 2 of the 3 axles are driven. This is just an idler. There's a pickup from here as well, just to enhance the contact. And of course the front truck is purely just pickup of one polarity, and the other polarity is picked up through the shell here on the back rear pickup, the rear truck. So it's very simple design, and they run pretty well. Kind of noisy and so on, but they're kind of fun. All right, so what I'm going to do is these Rivarossi motors. You have to be careful about opening this. They actually have ball bearings on both ends of the shaft, and if you pop this part of the shell out, I think there's 6 ball bearings on one end. I believe there's 9 on the other end. Either way, they just fall, they go all over the place, and they're hard to put back in there. So what I do is I do not pull the back out here to clean the commutator. The commutator is somewhat visible as well from the angle from the side here. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull these brushes out, and then use some contact cleaner and Q-tips to clean the inside of the commutator, and put the brushes back, and lubricate the bearing in here. And that's it. I'm going to do for this side, and then I'll flip it over, and then I'll take care of the bearing on the bottom end. Alright, so let's start by removing the brushes. Okay, so in these Rivarossi locomotives, motors, you typically see one brush that's copper, and the other one that is a regular carbon brush. I believe the rationale behind that is that the copper brush is kind of a copper mesh, and it would help clean the commutator as it ran. So it's an interesting concept, but I think it creates additional friction, and I would love to at some point replace that copper brush with another carbon brush. But also what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to remove these brushes and put them back in the same location, the same slot that they came from. That way the wear pattern stays the same. So there's a spring out here, just to pull it out. Pop that one out. There you go. Now I'm going to make a note that the copper brush is on the outer end. This should fall out hopefully. There's a copper brush. It's not that dirty. It looks like the carbon brush is a little bit stubborn. I'm going to use a pin to pull that one out. And there's a lot of oil on this brush, so there must be a lot of gunk on the commutator. So I'm going to put both these brushes in a little bit of contact cleaner and have them cleaned out. Just going to grab some contact cleaner. Alright, so I'm going to put some contact cleaner in here. There we go. And I'm going to let these brushes soak in that so that the gunk will start to dissolve eventually, and I can also already see it discoloring, so that's good. So I'll let that sit on the side for a while, and now I'm going to get a Q-tip and clean the inside. Now, typically I'm going to use a different contact cleaner on the motor right now, and that's this one here, and this is a quick dry electronic cleaner, and this one is very safe on plastics and any other electronics. Reason why is because I'm unable to open up this motor, so I'd rather make sure I'm putting something very safe in there, and I'm going to then use this Q-tip then to rotate the armature and then clean the commutator while there's liquid in there. So I'm going to put some on here, put some in there, and then rotate. You can see the dirt. Here you can see quite a bit of dirt coming out there. Flatten this a bit. Alright, I'm thinking also I can clean the commutator a bit from here as well. Just the outside. Alright, I put a little bit more contact cleaner in there because this stuff dries very quickly. Clean with this one. Just going to rotate the armature while I have this in here. That'll pick up any kind of dirt. Not much left there, that's good. Yeah, this one seems to have a lot more dirt. Alright, that's fairly clean. Alright, so we got that clean. I'm going to take a look at the brushes here. Yep, you can see some gets formed on the liquid, which is probably all the dirt that was sitting in the copper brush, most likely. So we grab it and that's the carbon brush. Just give it a nice little clean. Well, this is the copper brush, I think. Yeah, this is the copper one. Yeah. Okay, now they got the copper brush clean. They're gonna put it back in there, and there's the carbon one. Back in there. You can see there's quite a bit of dirt on these brushes. Alright, so the brushes are in. I'm going to release the springs, put them back on there so they hold. Okay, there we go. Alright, so the brushes are in. Should settle in. Alright. Okay, so the commutator is clean. We've cleaned the brushes and put them inside. We put the springs back on to hold the brushes on. Now the only other piece left here on this side of the motor is to get this bearing. Now, as you notice, there's no access to lubricate this bearing from sides, and so therefore something interesting that Rivarossi has done is that there is a little opening here on the bearing. As you can see, a little hole in the center here. That is designed so that you can actually put in a lubrication needle and inject oil straight in there, and that will look at the bearings inside, the ball bearings inside that bearing. Alright, so I typically use the Hobby Lube Premium Gear Oil. And you notice this needle here is designed to fit right into that opening, and it goes all the way in. So I need is a dab of oil, so I'm going to make sure that the oil is ready to come out of this needle here, and then I'm going to hinge a quick dab in there. Okay, it's taking its sweet time. There we go. It's going to come out. So this is gear oil. It's rather a little bit thick, and that's why I'm using it for this, because I don't want it to go and flow right into the brushes. So I'm putting a thick oil in here. Sorry. Okay, that's all we need. Let's spin it around a bit so we can make sure it goes through all the races in the bearing there. Sorry, all the balls in the race. Alright, so I think we're good on that side for now. Now I'm going to flip it over. There's nothing to do on this side. I'm going to flip it over. And we are going to work on the rear truck. Alright. So there's just 2 flathead screws in the rear truck. Notice this one doesn't have a coupler, so I'm going to have to find a coupler for it later on. For now, I just want to get this locomotive serviced. Now, keep in mind, be careful as you pop this rear screw out. There is a spring right underneath this coupler housing, and you'll see it as I open it up, and that could tend to pop out. So remove it slowly, with caution. So I take the screws out, and then slowly lift this up, and you'll see the spring reveal itself. There's a spring there. So we're going to keep this here, and there's a little spring. Make sure notice the orientation of this, and make sure you don't change it as you put it back. And there's a spring that I was referring to that tends to go flying out. So I'm going to take that one carefully, place it to the side. Okay, and there you go. You can see the brass gears all the way through, which is amazing. It's got a worm gear that then drives all these brass gears and then drives the last one. So this both axles are driven. And this one here, all it has is a brass pickup for electricity. So this side gets one polarity, and then this truck picks up the other polarity. All right, so this one's very simple. Just going to lift the axles out. I'm going to clean this one because you notice there is a pickup right here. So I'm going to clean the barrel on this one so that it has a fresh connectivity there. And I also still use contact cleaner. I find that to work the best. Takes all the gunk out here, and then clean this barrel. And I'm going to lubricate the bearings later on, the wheel bearings. So I'm going to remove each of these axles and each of these gears. Well, actually just the axle is good enough. Actually, what I'm going to do here is, before I put these back in, I'm also going to clean the wheels as well. Might as well do that at the same time. Yeah, these are coming up pretty nice. Usually there's some stubborn dirt on here. I put some Brasso and remove it as well, but this time it's coming out nice and clean. All right. And keep in mind that the side that has the metal washer goes on the pickup end, or goes on the outer end. Make sure you note the orientation. Okay, I'm going to pull this axle out as well. Just rotates out. These bearings are good cleaned. I'm going to also clean the wheel and the flange. Well, these are coming out very nice and clean. Guess this didn't have much run time. Okay. I'm going to pull the last one out. Oh, this wheel has a lot of dirt on it. Okay. All right. These gears like to pop out, but now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some gear oil on these. Now before I do that, I just want to show you it's kind of hard to see, but it's in this little gap over here. This little gap over here, you can actually see the bearing of the other end of the motor. It's hard to see through the camera here, but it is visible. So I'm going to put some gear oil on this side of the bearing, and that'll take care of that part of the bearing. And then we'll continue. So here's the gear oil again. There's oil. Okay. Just going to rotate the motor a bit so it works its way into the bearing, the motor. Alright, let's put a little bit more in there. Okay, also going to put some on the worm gear. Okay. Okay, so after I cleaned the axles and so on, and after we lubricated the main bearing on the motor, I accidentally, I do apologize, I accidentally hit the stop record button unrealizing, and I went through the lubrication process here for the gears and the bearings. So I figured let me at least show you what I did. So I applied a little bit of white lithium grease, just a tad, on the worm gear and on these gears over here, and added some Hobby Lube premium gear oil as well to all the gears. So reason I did that is because these are all metal gears, it's good to have a little bit of grease on there, just a little bit of grease mixed with the oil. Then I also lubricated each of these bearings for each of these gear shafts, and the axle bearings as well with gear oil. Okay, and I think I can put a little bit here. It's a bit dry. Let me add a little bit onto this one here as well. There we go. All right, so we've got lubrication now on the gear wheels, which I've forgotten the video, but at least I'm sharing with you what I did. And I put some little bit of white lithium grease. We put lubrication, gear oil on all the bearings here, bearing ends. And then we're going to close that up, and on the front what I did here was I cleaned these axles, the two pickup axles. I cleaned them up with contact cleaner, and the contact pickups as well with contact cleaner, so they're all clean. And I put some gear oil on the axle bearings here. Okay, and I also cleaned these wheels so that they have good pickup on them. Same here as well. Okay, that's all I did before I took it into washing the shell. So I want to make sure I share that with you. We're going to reassemble this back, and then we'll take the locomotive onto the track for test. So I just assembled the front cover here. That's very easy, just 2 screws. I'm also now going to show you how to assemble the rear cover. You just have to be careful here with this little spring that's here in place to hold the guide pin that's here to prevent the rear truck pivoting too much. So the key here is to lay the lay the cover with the screws like this, with the front screw on, and you guide it to the spot where the screw sits there, and screw that in, but don't screw it in tight, just leave it loose so you can lift it up on this end. And the reason is because now you can lift it up on this end, slide in the coupler housing, and notice there's a little pad here on which the spring pushes against. Why do they have that? I really don't know, but that's how it came assembled. So there we go. It just sits in the slot. So now you can tighten the whole thing down. It's in place. You can freely move. Okay. All right. So now we have also ready to take this over to the track and give it a shot. Okay, folks. So here we are. We have the fully assembled Krauss Maffei ML4000. We've cleaned the shell with very light detergent soap. I use Dove. Dawn. That works really well. And then we've lubricated the motor inside. We cleaned the brushes. We cleaned the commutator through the brush opening. We lubricated the motor, and on this side as well, on the truck end, we lubricated all the bearings and the gears. Cleaned the wheels and lubricated the axle bearings here as well on the front truck. And now we're ready to put this on the track and see how it runs. So let's go and do that. All right, let's put it on the track here. Yeah, okay, I think we're very good. I've been doing some work on the layout here, so we're gonna have to just pardon the mess there a bit. Here we go. Oh wow, runs really nice. A bit more power. Runs nice and smooth. Yeah, I'm really impressed with this locomotive. It was non-functional. It had a connection issue which I resolved, and then with a little bit of lubrication and so on, it's running really well. It was really sluggish before, but it's running really nice. Alright, well, I hope you found the video useful, and if you have any questions, as usual, please send them to me and I'll be more than happy to respond. Alright, I hope you have a great day, and thank you for watching.